A show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This is The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards. Thank you so much for joining us. We're continuing this series of getting to know candidates who are contesting the general elections of 2023 a little better, other than their career side and the reason why they are running for politics, but to get to understand and know them a little better on the personal level. Yes, we're going to bring in some of what they're doing and why they're running, but that intimate person we need to know a little bit of. And today our guest is Ms. Sylvia Moses. Sylvia, it's a pleasure having you.
Good morning, Kathy. I'm so happy to be here, and good morning to, good afternoon to the listening public.
Awesome. Well, it's your first go at The Big Story, I think. I don't recall having you here before.
Yes, it is, Kathy. It is my first time.
Awesome. Well, welcome to The Big Story.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, like I said before, this specific series of feature with candidates is mainly to get to understand who you are beyond that person that is running for government office to become a legislator, beyond getting the roads fixed and talking about what you need to do to make sure that the economy of the territory is better. We need to know you a little more. And one thing that I know that you are aware of is that persons will always say, well, she's so reserved, she's so quiet, you hardly see, well, I'm seeing a lot of smiles today. You hardly see her, that social person. Give us a little rundown of who Sylvia is really.
So Sylvia is a daughter of the soil, and I've always been around. While yes, I am not a social butterfly, as some people, are saying that I'm not. I do go out from time to time. I do interact. I used to be active in sports.
Oh yeah?
Yes, I was I won't say a track star, but in high school I used to run track. I used to do long jump, high jump. When my son was in his early years, I was a Little League baseball coach. So I've done quite a number of things within the community.
So where he picked up the baseball part of it for?
He picked it up from his dad. His dad was a softball star with the Atomics for many, many years. So he picked that up from him.
Okay.
I mean, I used to play when I was at Inland Revenue. We used to have the corporate softball league, and I used to play within that league. I actually used to be the catcher.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Saving the day.
Yes. So he probably got it from both of us, but more so from his dad.
Okay. And your heritage, who are your parents and
Right. So I'm from West End.
Okay.
My dad is from West End, Clinton, the Bouncer Romney. Yes. My mom, she is from Salt Island. She's a daughter of Clementine Smith.
Oh.
So I'm a Salt Islander. I'm a West Ender. And both of those upbringings, being in West End and being in Salt Island, taught me a lot. I won't say I was a tomboy, but Daddy treated all his children like we were boys.
Oh.
You understand? It was always the rough and rugged. He's fixing something. He wanted to bring, whether it was a wrench, a hammer, whatever it was. He was a jack of all trades. So he was always asking you to come and help him do something, come and help him fix something. In addition to that, growing up, we didn't have cisterns. We had, drums where we would catch water.
Barrels of water,
right.
Yeah.
So before we went off to school, more so myself because I'm the oldest of 6 children. So before we went off to school, we had to go down by your grandfather's house to pull water. So we would pull the water, throw it in a drum, pull water, throw it in a drum, and then you would cover it with the tamarind leaves, and then he would drive it up, and we to the back hole and onto the barrel, making sure it doesn't tip over. In addition, when he used a taxi, I used to help him taxi as well. And when he passed on, I took on, carrying on the taxi business.
Oh, yes?
Yes, so I'm a licensed taxi driver as well. I must say though, hats off to the taxi drivers, that's a skill unto itself. So while, yes, I'm reserved, I'm more in the office, sometimes I will go out with him. And I see the struggles that they have. And yes, sometimes when he was unable to, do a job, he would call and say, he used to call me Seal. He would say, Seal, go and pick up this, go and do this, go and do that. So I'm not as reserved as people think I am.
Okay, that's one I learned of you now. I never would have thought. But tell me a little bit about life on Salt Island.
Life on Salt Island, from the time I know myself, we used to go over there, whether it was summers, Christmas, definitely Easter coming up, we would be going over there. We used to go up on a fishing boat most of the times with this gentleman, Mr. Manny from Frenchman Ski, which was a fishing boat, I don't know how long, maybe 8 feet long. And Daddy would ensure to pack us all in the boat with Mommy, and we would go over to Salt Island. And I distinctly remember this one time, Kathy, it was extremely rough. And Mr. Manny threw the fishing sail over all of us, and he is to the back, holding on to the engine. And all we were feeling was a ponging and a ponging and a ponging. I thought my heart was going to come out my chest. But when we get over there, it was all fun and joy. No shoes, you're running and you're picking grapes. Of course, you had to help pick the salt. And then sometimes when they're pulling the scene for the fish, you had to go help. I think I still have some of the scars from pulling the fish scenes. But it was always a joy to go over there to visit my grandmother, Clementine Smith, and the other residents of Salt Island. Sadly, no, they have passed on, and so we don't have any residents over there. But as a family, both my family in Western and my family in Eastern, we make it our business to go over there at least once a year, sometimes 3-4 times in the year.
Oh, so like a reunion kind of thing,
yes,
to just go.
Yes, and it's important. It's important that we do that because the generation after myself, they need to know each other. We all need to know who our family are. And when we get together, it's to go to reminisce, and talk about, our grandparents and how they live, and, our hopes and dreams, especially for, how can we develop Salt Island to make it more, attractive for more people to come, and certainly for us to embark upon entrepreneurial businesses over on Salt Island.
Okay, and talking about entrepreneur, tell me about your career and how you got into that field where you're at right now.
So as a young girl growing up, I remember distinctly this one gentleman, Mr. Lincoln Hodge from Frenchman Ski. He was a teacher, and he also used to work for customs. And so going over on Frenchman Ski, we would get a talk, and he would talk about his time working for government, and they always, the older people at that time always said to you, a job within the government is an honorable job. Right?
Okay.
So I grew up with that, in my mind. And so when I came out, well, before I came out of high school, I put in for job training. I selected the Treasury. So I went there and I worked with Mr. A. Shirley. He was the Accountant General at the time. And I enjoyed my time there. So when I graduated June of 1983, of course, before you came out of high school, they would encourage you to put out your applications. So I put out my applications to government, and one of the departments I requested to go to was the Inland Revenue. And when I went there in 1983, Mr. Sidney Brathwaite was they call it the controller at the time, the Commissioner of Inland Revenue. And I distinctly remember going in to see Mr. Brathwaite. I was scared out of my wits because he was this kind of, person. Yes. So I went in, he gave me a test. After I passed the test, he handed me the income tax ordinance, Cap 205. And he said, "No, Ms. Romney, go and read this and come back and tell me what it says." He gave me 1 week to do that. So I went, redlined it, and bet your bottom dollar. That was the 5th of September, 1983, when I started.
Remember it to date?
Yes. 1 week later, Mr. Bratwick called me in his office. Now tell me, what does it say? And I had to tell him what the various sections said. And from that I learned that when you go into a job, you have to know what the laws that you're administering.
Yeah.
You have to understand what your responsibilities are. And so I took that with me throughout my public service career. Started as a clerical trainee from the very bottom. So I served as messenger, receptionist, cashier, Mr. Bratwick's secretary. It was all in one. But I learned a lot. And I moved up the chain up to the post of Commissioner of Inland Revenue. And I can remember one time, after Mr. Bratwick had passed on, Mr. Arnold Letsom, he's still around, he was the commissioner. And he ran a joke and said to me, "Sylvia, look, are you trying to take over my job, you know?" And I said, "Yes, I'm aspiring to be at the top." So I moved up to the position of Commissioner of Inland Revenue. And I enjoyed my time there because I saw how people within the territory needed help in, preparing their income tax returns and submitting their information, and ensuring that they did it on time, assisting them in making their payments. It's not everybody can make a lump sum payment. Mm-hmm. You would give whatever the time frame, whether it is 30 days, 90 days, thereabout. And, people would need more time to pay. So you would, put in a payment plan and assist them to pay. And after moving on from Inland Revenue, after spending about, I think 28 years I spent at that department, I moved on to the Premier's office, where I served as a Director of International Affairs. And a lot of people might not think it's important, but the reputation of a country or the reputation of any organization is like liquid gold. Mm-hmm. And like any other country, they have many relationships that we have to maintain, negotiate, cajole, have to keep in touch with to ensure that if things are happening on the horizon or beyond our shores, you need information from another country, you need assistance from another country. It's important that you have, even investors, it's important that you have, good relationships, that whatever the case may be, you may be able to call upon, for assistance, guidance, or, whatever. And I also assisted with the International Finance Center for a short period of time, being a director there. That also deals with the reputation or marketing of the financial services sector. So I got to see the other side. In the Premier's office, you dealt with tourism. And I got to see the other side of dealing with financial services. And, those are all twin pillars. And what people are not, fully appreciating is that these two pillars are all bread and butter. And so we have to ensure that the policies and procedures that are put in place are not only to protect our interests and our economy, but also to ensure that BVI is, complying with international standards.
And maintains a reputation, a good reputation. On that note, with what we would have experienced from the Commission of Inquiry, and then on to what would have happened in April 28th, it was, with the then Premier. How you see that affecting the reputation of the territory?
Those two events caused serious reputational damage, Kathy, and it is something that we certainly have to address when the PVIM government comes into power, April 25th.
Okay, there goes the positive speaking.
One of the first things any administration would need to do is to look to repairing our relationship with the UK. I mean, people might say whatever they want in regards to the UK, but until we go out on our own, we are under the United Kingdom. And as such, we need to have a conversation with them. Several conversations, I would say, to repair the relationship with the United Kingdom. In years gone by, I would have been privy to many documents. I would have been in attendance to many meetings and negotiations, and so I know exactly what is expected of BVI, which is the same thing as is expected of any OT under the United Kingdom. But certain things have happened within our jurisdiction that we need to deal with head on, and certainly the relationship with the UK is one of them. The issue surrounding April 2022, I think, is still a sore point for all of us, and until that whole situation is resolved, we don't know fully what is going to be coming out of it. So I think we will have to wait to see more on that.
But when we would have had the results of the report from the Commission of Inquiry, one thing we kept hearing, and we still hear it today, is that most of these things that are in the report were things that we were aware of years upon years ago, and seeing the need that we need to do better in these areas. But it took a Commission of Inquiry to put a noose around your neck, as just wanting a term to say, to ensure that you do it. How do we go about in the future to not have to meet to that stage where you have to be whipped into doing what you need to do, especially when you know what you need to do and how you need to do it?
It was so unfortunate, but Kathy, we were the ones that asked for the COI. You know that. Not sure why we felt it was necessary to do so, because like you pointed out, we knew that there are a number of things within our system, within the public services, within our laws, our behavior. We knew that these things needed to be improved upon. But sometimes you have a child or you have a youngster and you're talking, all the time. And my mother always would say, you don't hear until you feel, right? And so unfortunately, that seems to be the case with what has happened with the COI. But certainly there are opportunities now for us to improve upon the many infractions that the COI brought out, to improve our systems, improve our public service, and ensure going forward that the mechanisms that are put in place are respected, not just by the public officers, but by elected officials as well. And my hope and belief is that as a PVIM government, we will certainly do what is necessary to bring about those necessary changes.
The Dr. Natalia Whitley Premiership and his team, the Government of National Unity, were able to, and we have to give credit where it's due, to avert the implementation of the suspension of the Constitution of the Virgin Islands partially. But there are still some people who are of the feeling that in this time we really need the UK to take hands over this territory, run the affairs, suspend the Constitution partially, and put things in place before. What do you say to that?
Yes, certainly the unity government was able to avert the UK taking over our constitution. I don't think it would be no partial. If you suspend part of it, in my view, you suspend the whole constitution. Okay. Within BVI, we have capable people. We have capable professionals and individuals who can run our affairs. And we have been doing it before. Yes, things went awry for whatever reason, but the fact still remains, we do have people within the BVI who can run our affairs, and we can run it efficiently. We can run it as any other country. So no, I don't subscribe to the UK taking us over.
Awesome. You are running for government. Why you end up? This is not your first time attempting to become a legislator. Why run for politics?
So my dad, Clinton LeBonsa Romney, he was a very vocal person, and he oftentimes used to call into the various radio shows. Fletcher Scatliff had a radio program, and he oftentimes used to call in. And so we would be at home hearing him talking about all the issues and our poor little country going, he used to say, going to hell in a handbasket. Ah. And he would say, y'all need to do something, y'all need to step up and do something. And so it was from that, I got that from him. And so in 2019, things within my district was such that I felt I needed to put myself forward, which I did. It wasn't my time in 2019. I certainly believe it's my time now. And so, yes, I'm putting myself forward again because the people of District 1 needs full representation. We need to have a voice. We need to have people who is going to stand up, for their needs and for the district. And hence, I'm putting myself forward again.
No, but like Daddy used to say, we go into hell in a handbasket. You think we reach hell and now trying to get out of hell?
I wouldn't say we are there, but Kathy, my God, we are in a bad place. We are in a bad place. We really need to come back from where we are. I think one of my colleagues said that we are over a cliff, holding on by your fingernails. Oh. And I think that's where we are. The BVI, as I know it, we were a thriving country. We were the envy, if I could say it, of the Caribbean. And we do have a lot of people still coming to BVI, but what I'm hearing as of late is that things have changed so drastically. Some people are saying, well, they don't know if they're going to come back next year. They're probably going to go somewhere else. I'm talking about visitors now, people who have been coming to BVI for 30 years, 40 years. So they would have seen BVI from a sleepy little country to what it is today. And sadly, some of the things that is happening, our unkept roads, the uncleanliness of the area. I had a gentleman, he came, right now I work within the private sector, within real estate. Okay. And a gentleman wanted to see some property. So he looked at what was here in Tortola, he looked at what there was in Virgin Gorda. And sadly, the comments that he made in relation to how Tortola is kept and maintained, was very heartbreaking to me. And so it is for those reasons, for visitors and residents alike, we need to have a territory that everybody is proud of. Our residents are happy to live in the community, and our visitors are happy to visit us.
When persons talk about the territory not being like it used to be, far from the good place it used to be back then, the conversation comes up that, okay, back then we were a smaller population and we were more indigenous people and few persons from the surrounding Caribbean and wider world, but today we are of over 100 different nationals, and the population has grown, and there has been there is so much more of other cultures that are now present in the territory, and that may be a factor for the changes and the way things are done and is being kept. Do you subscribe to that feeling?
Yes, you are correct in some respect. The territory we had a smaller population in years gone by. We do have, I think it's over 100 nationalities here in BVI, and so yes, you would have a difference in cultures. But Kathy, as BVI landers, and certainly those who have come among us and they have become belongers themselves, there's no reason why we can't or we shouldn't continue to maintain the cleanliness of the island. I remember when, especially in West End, when the older gentlemen retired from public works, they would hire them to maintain the roads. So you had Mr. Hodge, you had Mr. Hubert, and a number of others. So one might be responsible for maybe Frenchman's Key, one might be responsible for the towers, another will be responsible for Zion Hill, and so on and so forth. And they will go out on their particular days and make sure that the roadsides, not just cutting off the bush, but the trash and whatever other issues are on the road were maintained. There's no reason now why today in 2023 we can't build upon that, why we can't have road crews, not just in District 1 but throughout the entire territory. Have road crews to ensure that our roads are properly maintained. The lighting going to West End, after you pass you know where the bluff is?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But when you pass the bluff, or when you go into the bluff, it is dark. And years gone by, we used to have a story of this white lady. And make sure when you're driving Western, don't stop on that area because a white lady coming for you. We need to ensure that we have street lights all along the roadside. As a woman driving, you go to Tropical Fusion for dinner, you coming home. You shouldn't be
hurrying to get past that area because
Yes, I think some other time again we had a event down in Caribbean when I invited a particular individual. They said, no, I don't drive at night down there too dark. No, Kathy, we need to do better. We need to do better. The type of budget that BVA puts out every year, I cannot understand why we don't have proper street lighting.
Okay. All right. So we were on the bottom of our time here. I really enjoyed this conversation. It seems like if it was just 5 minutes we were speaking.
Sure.
But in this moment, because of where you're at and what you're pursuing in this moment, I want you to take the time to talk directly to your audience and to let them know why it is that you should be one of those that sit at the helm of the territory to manage its affairs.
Well, thank you for that opportunity, Kathy. I feel that I am the right choice. For District 1, we have a tremendous amount of work within the Western Tower, Zion Hill, Caribbean, Longway, Frenchmanski area that we must challenge head on. And they stem from infrastructural issues. The Western Ferry Terminal has been talked about for too long. We need to get on with that. We have road issues. We have waste management issues. The incinerator, Kathy, we didn't touch on that, you know. And I need to say that the people within District 1 are suffering because of the incinerator, serious asthma cases, serious cancer cases in the Western area. And those are some of the infrastructural issues that I will be dealing with when you put me into office. And so I look forward to your support, and I thank you for having me, Kathy.
Awesome. Sylvia, I really appreciate this moment spent with me here on The Big Story. Got to indeed know a little bit more about you and to appreciate who Sylvia is. Oh, the taxi girl from Salt Island, West End. It was really a pleasure, and I hope your audience would have pulled a little closer to who they see as that reserve woman, but with a great big heart for this territory. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
you for taking time out to spend with us here on The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards.